Today we are looking at Jason's team. So Jason, he needs a little bit of help. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about the league and the scoring settings?
So it's a 12-team league, half PPR Superflex. There's no IR spots. This is not listed. 5 taxi squads, 23 roster spots, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 receiver, tight end, and 2 flex. Last year, he finished 9th, and I think he finished 7th in points.
Well, let's look at his team right now, and I'll just note some of the obvious guys. So for quarterbacks, at this point, we could almost say none. Matt Ryan, Zach Wilson, Drew Lock, and Matt Corral. Running backs, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, Khalil Herbert, Gus Edwards. Wide receivers, Chris Olave, T. Higgins, George Pickens, Christian Kirk. I like what I'm seeing here out of these wide receivers so far. Tight ends, we got Kittle, Trey McBride, Bellinger, Tunyon, and Parham. Draft capital, 2023 first, 102, the 105-ish, the 107-ish, and the 112. Mid-second, a third, and a fifth. Everything in 2024, and he has an extra 24 third. He wants to know, looking at the team needs and the trajectory, where are we headed? Is he competitive now, in need of a small retooling or rebuild? Are we already in rebuild phase? And what do we need to focus on winning a championship? And what is the realistic timeline on competing? So we're going to answer all of those questions. But Pork, what is his team trajectory? And tell me his team needs.
I think his team trajectory right now, I think he's right in the middle of a full rebuild. There's a lot of pieces here that I feel as though he needs to attend to. I see his draft capital, and looking at this draft, it might be like a 2 or 3 quarterback type of draft coming out. With 1 to 3 of those picks, he's going to have to do something about that. So I think quarterback is his biggest need at this point. I don't think you can go into next year with a Matt Ryan who looks cooked, Zach Wilson who got benched, and Drew Lock and Matt Corral who hasn't done anything. So I think that's his number 1 priority at this point. And I think he's probably going to need a solid running back. Travis Etienne looks like he's done pretty well, but J.K. Dobbins has been hurt. Khalil Herbert got hurt this year, and Alexander Madison is a free agent. So I think that's something that he's going to have to attend to. The wide receiver room looks great, and tight end room looks pretty good as well.
There's some nice pieces here, but I think this team is a few years out. That's what I think, and that's really revolving around the quarterback room too. A lot of people are high on Matt Corral. He's a taxi stash right now, and we don't even know what the Panthers quarterback situation is going to look like next year and the next 2 years. Drew Lock couldn't beat out Geno Smith. In all fairness, Geno Smith playing some of the best football of his career. Zach Wilson did get benched for Mike White. I don't think it's permanent. And Matt Ryan, he's on borrowed time. You know, my team needs, number 1, quarterback upgrade. All the reasons I just said. That is the most important thing. Number 2, solidify your running backs. Let's tell everyone now, what are our core players? What are the players that you think Jason should be building around?
So I think he should build around his wide receivers. That's the best part of his team at this point. So I would build around the Olaves, the Higgins, Pickens, and George Kittle. George Kittle, you know, we see how he is when he's on the field. So I think he's a core player that can, you know, get you going. Seeing that he's a core player, I wouldn't mind trading him as well if you do get the right type of compensation for him. When it comes to Pickens, I think he's already the wide receiver 1 on the Steelers. So I think that's a guy that you can build around, as well as T. Higgins and Olave. Higgins still gets his yards even with a Jamar Chase on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
So he's going to get you, you know, those splash plays, and so he's going to get you those touchdowns and them yards. And Olave has really done well with subpar quarterback play. So imagine if they get somebody really good next year. I think he has a chance to break out and be a wide receiver 1 for years to come.
I agree with everything on that except for George Kittle. I have no problem moving on from George Kittle. When we look at his tight end room, Trey McBride, I know Zach Ertz is still there. He's on IR right now. Daniel Bellinger was playing pretty well before he got that fractured eye socket. Tunyon has been kind of hit or miss this season. I'm okay with moving on from. So I think you could turn George Kittle into something better, younger, and more consistent, to be perfectly honest with you, and get a plus return. But my core players are Chris Olave, for everything you said, T. Higgins, all the same reasons as you, and George Pickens. We know you love George Pickens. Hey, I do too. And I would definitely love to build my team around him. So let's talk about Pork, some cuts, trade pieces, and trade targets. And we're going to kick it off and start it with you.
On this team here, I'm going to cut just the obvious guys, the Matt Corral, LaVisca, Nick Westbrook, Akina, Ben Skoranek, and Donald Parham. These are just guys who really don't really have any value. You don't think you're going to get any really good picks. If anything, you'll get like a 5th round pick or something like that for any of these guys. So I would just move pretty much all of them. When it comes to the trades, like I said, I would consider trading a George Kittle away for the right compensation. So somebody is willing to give up a 23 first and a second so you can build this team up all over again. I'm fine with that. And to solidify the quarterback room, I would probably use one of the 23 first and get a Trevor Lawrence before he goes for two first plus. With the Doug Peterson, I really like what they've done with him. They gave him all the types of weapons for his team. He has a running game. He's going to have a Calvin Ridley next year as well. So I think that's going to help your team out for the future as well.
I do just want to add, I think you might need to pay even right now a little bit more than a 23 first for Trevor Lawrence. I'm not saying it's 2 first yet. We're getting
maybe another player, like slotting somebody else. But
right, or
these are trades that these are a couple of trades that I've seen via the DLF database that people have made within the week. This is like just around the same trades that I would kind of make for that type of player.
For me, and Jason's saying he's trying to trade for quarterbacks, but even a mid-level quarterback is costing a first plus. Yeah, I mean, it's a super flex league. So the thing is, you have enough firepower at your disposal. You can either pay it or you can draft. That's the good thing. And what should I do with Kittle? Pork said he's going to trade him. I'm going to show you what to do a little bit. For me, I'm definitely cutting Nick Westbrook-Akeen, Ben Skornick. I don't know how to say it. Whatever. He's gone. And I'm going to cut Parham as well. Hey, what am I doing with George Kittle? Superflex league. You need a quarterback, but you don't need an inconsistent aging tight end that gets hurt a lot. Let's take George Kittle in a 2023 second and turn that into Tua. So I would also take a late first and a second round pick, and I would try to get Kenny Pickett in a 4th round draft pick in return. Have the picks. You need a quarterback. Kenny Pickett, blossoming. Got George Pickens. You got a nice stack right there. Take DJ Moore in a 3rd, and I would try to turn that into Mac Jones in a 24 4. Mac Jones, not the sexiest player. He's pretty solid, pretty consistent. So Jason also wants to know, when should I start targeting veteran players, and which ones should I look for? I wouldn't be targeting veterans yet. Right now, I'm focusing on youth and your younger vets, guys like that, guys that have been in the league like 3 to 6 years-ish. That's what I'm looking for in this team right now. Let's not go for the older players as of yet. He also asked, how should I value my future draft capital and trades? That's a hard one, because sometimes it's not about how you value your draft capital. It's about how your trade partner or hopeful trade partner values your draft capital. Don't overpay. Don't start with your worst offer, but don't start with your best. Trades, they're tough, man.
But that's what the chat is for. Talk the trade through. See how he values a certain player, and then you guys come to a common ground. If you don't, there's 10 other teams that you can trade with.
One last thing I'll say about valuing your future draft capital and trades. If you're looking for a player, I understand that you have these 4 first round picks. You don't have to use them all at once. Don't be afraid to overpay when it makes sense to do it. And don't be afraid to negotiate either. And also realize that these picks, the closer you get to the draft, the more they mean. Rookie targets and draft strategies. So this kind of ties into what I was talking about before. If you're unable to acquire any quarterbacks via trade, you should be very quarterback-centric in your drafting. Then I would try to find in your later rounds the next Dameon Pierce or Isaiah Pacheco. Guys that you can use a little bit, maybe flip for a profit, or if you like them, you can keep them too. You don't have to constantly keep moving guys. It's just one of those things. You find these replaceable guys that are good value. If you can cash in on them, you do it. It's like a slot machine. You hit for $20, you take your $20, you get the hell out of there. Looking at what you have, again, these are projected, the 102, the 105, 107, 112. I'm trying to realistically think of what could be available there, and it's hard right now. I'm thinking like a CJ Stroud would be great if he was there at 102 for you. Maybe someone goes Bijan or Bryce Young at 1-1, and you get CJ Stroud. Hell of a consolation prize at the 1-2. Will Levis, a lot of people are thinking, I heard a couple people saying like he's going to get drafted by the Lions in City Year. That would be amazing if he did. Honestly, you might be able to get him at the 112 then. Will Levis is a guy to be targeting. Sean Tucker from Syracuse, the running back, he's going to take care of a lot of issues for you as well. And, you're looking for the next Dameon Pierce or Isaiah Pacheco. When we look at a guy like Lou Nichols out of Central Michigan, he's probably going to be a super late pick. He did lead the NCAA in rushing in 2021. Chase Brown out of Illinois, another guy that you might want to consider. I think he's going to get some decent draft capital. Guys like that. Michael Mayer is another good one. Tight end from Notre Dame. Dalton Kincaid from Utah. Another guy I like too. Here's your next Zach Ertz. Seriously, watch film on this guy. He looks like just his body and the way he plays. He gets open on those little curls, the little dump offs, gets a first down, gets tackled, but he catches everything. So those are some of the guys I like. And of course, the best way to keep up to date with that, hang out with us here on the channel, subscribe to our Patreon. Bork, before we head on out of here, do you have any other closing thoughts that you would like to add to Jason's team?
So I would just say, Jason, don't give up. I know when you see a team that you got no quarterbacks, pretty much, to be honest. You got the first round pick, so you couldn't literally probably get Levis and Stroud if you can, depending on how the combine and the draft capital goes. Once you pretty much get those quarterbacks solidified and get some more solidified running back via trade, I think your team, maybe not this year or next year, but maybe the following year, I think you might have something going, because your receivers right now are bomb.com, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I also love that he has Josh Palmer on his team, especially considering there's a possibility Keenan Allen possibly and Mike Williams aren't back next year. Josh Palmer played some good football. You don't have any quarterbacks? Not for long. I have really, really high confidence that you can get it done.
Well, that is it for this audit today. I do hope you all enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did. Comment down below your thoughts on the audit itself. What did you think of the video, and what advice would you offer in this Dynasty Rebuild? And what questions do you have regarding Dynasty Rebuilds? If you want to have your team featured in a Dynasty Rebuild video, you can check out patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind, or you can hit up the YouTube description box below for more details. If you are rebuilding, it's very important to have the right strategies in place and avoid very common mistakes. For just that, check out the 2 videos on your screen now. Make sure you have the right strategy in place and avoid those very common mistakes. But hey, that's going to be it for us today. We will see y'all in the next one, but until then, y'all have a good one.